Hey, moviegoers around the world. Yes, I said around the world because we are worldwide. It's proven. I know we have at least one fan from from India who catches us. So that makes us worldwide. We are international. And hi, my name is Dimitri Panos. I am just part of KDM, which stands for Kit Dimitri Movies, and the kit is to my left. That is the wonderful, gracious, lovely Kit Bowen.
And that's Dimitri.
And I am Dimitri, as mentioned. And what do we do? Well, as I said, it's Kit Dimitri Movies. We talk movies. And today we are going to talk about, because the summer, from a movie standpoint, has kicked off pretty much. And we are going to talk about uh, how the impossible is made possible.
And we
Okay.
accept this mission and we
And
accept
we
it.
accept this mission.
And it won't self-destruct. This will continue on. So
Yes, unless you blow us up.
right.
And blow us up in a good way. Social media, follow us, like us, and share. So blow us up that way. Of course, I am talking about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. As always, I always start off with, as I said, my good friend and colleague, Kit Bowen. Kit, you just recently saw Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. What did you think?
Well, as we've said many times now already this year, this was one of my and yours
Hmm.
most highly anticipated film to watch because we both loved Dead Reckoning so much. And yeah, I love this. I loved it. I mean, literally, if he had gone into space without a spacesuit or something, maybe that would have jumped the shark like they did in
Fast
Fast
and
and Furious.
Furious. Uh,
But there's just no way they could jump the shark with this for me. Anyway, I mean, to be fair, the guy is fairly invincible. I mean, like I texted you last night, a real person, a real human, would have probably have died a million times over in all the things he ended up doing. But oh my God, I mean, here's the thing, and also we both did this as well. And if you are a huge fan of the franchise, like I am, I actually watched all the movies ahead of time, and it's actually a good thing to do because this really sort of, well, I mean, it culminates everything that's happened except for the second movie. I just realized they just don't even talk about that
no,
second
the
movie.
second movie was in there. The
Where?
second movie is in there. Uh-huh. I caught it. The second movie is in there vis-a-vis a clip,
Oh,
motorcycle chase and such,
yeah,
and
but
that
I mean
was
the
in there.
the actions of what Ethan Hunt has been doing all along, saving the
Mhm.
world time and time again, really kind of started in three with Philip Seymour Hoffman's character being the bad guy, one of my favorite bad guys of the Mission Impossibles.
Excellent bag. I don't disagree. Don't disagree.
And this whole rabbit foot thing he had to steal in three meant that that was going to carry on to this one. So actually, we should probably say up front, spoilers, spoilers,
Oh
spoilers.
yes, we should talk. Yes, but that is my God damn it, I spoiled it. No, this is a very spoiler rich conversation. So for you to enjoy, but only please, please, we cannot stress this enough, especially for this movie. Uh, Watch the movie first and then watch us so you can be a part of the conversation
Right.
and also so that you're not pissed off at us.
Yeah. All right.
So,
So got that covered up front. Anyway, so yes. Um really from three on is when things, start to coalesce. I mean, people came in and went, like Paula Patton and other actors, but Jeremy Renner. But in essence, there was always, the core three really, which was Ethan, Simon Pegg's, oh God, now I can't remember his name.
Luther
From
Reigns,
Luther Van Rames, but
Luther Stickle,
what was Simon Pegg's character's name? I forgot.
Benji,
Benji.
Benji,
So
yep,
Benji,
Benji.
Luther, and Ethan have always kind of been, well, Benji came in a little bit later, but Luther, Vin Rames has been with it from the very beginning. So,
from the very beginning.
yeah,
Benji came in at three,
right.
and I call them the Mission Trinity.
Yeah, the Mission Trinity. So anyway, piggybacking on what was an amazingly just mind-blowing ride that was Dead Reckoning, we continue on. And you know what? This was a little bit of a more of a slow build. Sometimes it kind of starts off really bang boom, and this one kind of there was more of a I mean, there was some action sequences at the very beginning, but you know what I mean. There's a little bit of a slow thing, but when
There
I
were moving pieces of like a
yes,
grander puzzle
right,
that they had to put together, so
yeah,
to speak, and they
right,
took their time to do it.
right.
So you didn't necessarily go, huh?
Yeah. So the entity has basically wreaked havoc on the world at this point. It's taking over all kinds of things, and the main horrible thing that's starting to take over is the nuclear capabilities of the 8 major countries of the world. So this has gotten it down to the wire, basically to Armageddon in a sense. And we've got Ethan, who no, he has this. They have a plan, sort of. And I knew they had to get to this. I knew they had to get to this submarine at some point in time. So I knew that that was going to be a hairy sequence, and it absolutely was, because as we saw at the beginning of Dead Reckoning, the original source code of the entity is on this sub called the
This Sebastopol.
Sebastopol. Thank you, Russian sub, and it crashes, and you know, and so he has to get to the original source code because they've got a fail safe. They call it a poison pill that they can. I mean, the whole thing was just like, my God, how tense can it get? So anyway, so Ethan is tasked to try to get first the source code. Then he's got to deal with Gabriel, Isai Morales, who was great, who has stolen the poison pill that Luther, lovely Luther, who I guess turns out to have has what I can assume is cancer or something, and he's sort of
Right.
hole up in
Okay.
this underground sort of hospital room, where he's doing all of the things he can do so brilliantly, but also getting treatment. Um, so spoiler alert.
Right.
Anyway, Luther doesn't make it, but Gabriel steals this poison pill from Luther. So now, Ethan's got to go get the source code from the sub. Then he's got to go find Gabriel to get the poison pill, because it all has to coordinate within a blink of an eye.
Yeah. Oh, like a magician's dexterity blink of an
And
eye.
of course,
Yeah.
Haley Atwell, who I think that was a great character, she returns as Grace, a master pickpocket, and it's really she's a very key part to having, trying to contain the entity is basically what they end up doing. But you know, he's got to break all the rules, and he's got to convince all the government people that he's a good guy, and then it's just always the same rigmarole. But there's some great cameo people in this one. Nick Offerman plays a general. Hannah
Waddingham.
Waddingham. She plays
Yeah.
a carrier craft captain, carrier ship captain, and then uh, uh, Tramel Tillman
Tillman as
from
the submarine captain from Severance.
Severance. It was so great. He got a little bit of an applause with my audience when I watched it when he came on screen, because everybody knows him from Severance, and he
He
plays
got
the
big
submarine.
applause. He got big applause in my audience when he said one particular line, something to do with oh, you're looking to like kick a hornet's nest or
Right.
something like that. He
And you
goes,
can,
"I'm your guy. You
yeah, you
found
came to
the
the right
guy."
place. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
and
was
it was
great.
like, yeah, everybody loved him. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so it's all this amazing feat of whatever it is they try to get to. But probably the most exciting scene for me was that submarine scene. It's like,
Really, more so than
well,
the biplane
Well, the
chase.
biplane chase was great too. For some reason, the submarine thing, because the submarine is teetering on this crevasse into the depths of the ocean, and so he has now unstable by getting on it. He's like, you know, the balance of the thing, and it keeps rolling and rolling, and he's like trying to get out of there, and there are all of these torpedoes. Got like, oh my god, if any one of those hits something wrong, it's like, and he's swimming, and he's like, oh, that was the one that if I let my brain think about it for too long, I'd go, oh, come on, oh, he'd be dead in a half a second. But you know what, it's okay, it worked, it worked. I was still like, get in there, hurry up, and all this kind of stuff. So and there is also a very great, like we said, if you want to watch all the movies again, definitely watch the first one, because there was a
Yeah,
great return of a character that poor guy. He got sort of the
he
short
was
end of
the
the
guy
deal.
that they stole the actual knock list from,
Right.
not Fort Knox, but it was the CIA.
Yes.
And he
Yes.
was the keeper of the computer, this guy.
He was the
And he was,
Black Vault. He's the one who created,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And he
And
was like, it
every
was
time
such,
he came on screen, everybody would just clap. So yeah, he was a great character, and I've forgotten the name of the character, but William something. William um hold on. Let me get this.
I don't know why they make it so hard for us to find him on IMDb, being that he is such a pivotal character
Yeah. Maybe
in this
maybe because they
movie.
were trying not to spoil it too much, that he kind of makes
Uh,
a return.
possible,
Okay, well,
possible.
the guy who plays him, it's William Donlow.
Dunlow, played by
Dunlow.
Rolf Saxon. Yep,
Yeah.
William Dunlow. And he was the guy that they, gave, they
That
put
made him
like
sick
X
to his
in his
stomach,
coffin.
yeah.
He had to
And
run out and
throwing
he
up,
found
and then he's the one who finds the knife. So
the knife. And he was
apparently
sent to like,
he's a brilliant, computer guy or whatever, and they find him on this remote island out in the Bering Sea, living his life with his wife, and a new native. And she was great too. I loved her. And yeah, apparently because they got to break into the vault or whatever, he lost his job of that,
he got
caliber.
transferred to what
Got
is like
transferred.
the American Siberia.
You're right.
The American
Right.
version.
But he's like, you
Uh,
know what? It ended up being the best thing that could have happened to me anyway.
Loved it.
And he still had the knife that Ethan
Yeah.
drops accidentally and sticks into the side of his desk or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it just, I don't know what's going to happen with the franchise beyond this. It did seem like a very nice sort of coda to the whole 8 movies that have come out. Um, I'm feeling like, Tom might make one more, but maybe not in the capacity that he has been. Maybe he might hand over the mantle to another person who could take over the whole franchise. It would be hard. It would be hard, but look, we've had such a great run, especially with the last like 4 or 5 of these movies. When Christopher McQuarrie came on board and became, he and Tom Cruise became intertwined and symbiotic in their quest to entertain us in ways that we could never imagine being entertained. I just, yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was
I,
my
I
kind of long-winded.
listen, you know, very much summed up how much I feel. When I watched this movie, I was on the edge of my seat, taking deep breaths, going, "What the fuck?" Pardon my French. But like, I was just like, how much shit can they throw at this guy? And it is the pure definition of like action. Like once you finish a conflict, the next conflict comes up. So it really is a master class in how you're setting up a entire scene and or a set piece. Look, 30 years, almost 30 years. We've had 8 movies. You and I have discussed this. Rarely has there been such a franchise of movies where they have all consistently been very good. And one could argue, oh, well, Mission Impossible 2 isn't that great, or this one. Okay, maybe, but there's one thing you can't do is you cannot point to any one of these 8 movies and said, that movie sucked. That movie was
No,
awful. You can't do that
you
with this
can't do.
franchise.
You can't.
You can
Mm-mm.
like them to degrees, like you can like one better than another, fair. And to me, I've only come up with like 2 other similar franchises. Now you have to go apples to apples. Like
Mm.
you can't pick a trilogy. You can't pick like Lord of the Rings per se, right? The first 3, the Lord of the Rings were excellent, but there are only
Mhm.
3 movies. So you have to pick something vast, right? You could say like James Bond. Okay, but I can point to some James Bond movies that really weren't that good,
Well,
right?
that's probably in that's probably the longest running action
Franchise.
franchise. Be
Period.
only be
Absolutely.
Yeah, because of
And
all the different changes they can do and all the different James Bonds there were.
sure. And I'm a huge Bond fan. The other one is Star Trek. Star Trek has had over 10 movies, right? But again, as a huge Star Trek fan, as you know,
I would not throw in the sci-fi. So I wouldn't throw in Trek and Star
I would,
Wars, but
well,
I would do
thing
like
though.
John Wick. I mean, I'm
No,
talking about just your
but John
action.
Wick has not have nope, nope. You have to hear me out. I'm talking about big franchises. John Wick has only
Uh,
had what, 4 movies? You have to, this is 8 movies. So
oh,
Star Trek is up there, but I can point to a Star Trek movie and say, yeah, that one's not so good. Maybe that one's Star Trek, The Final Frontier, guilty pleasure at best, right? And then the Indiana Jones has had a lot, but people can point to them and say, this one's not so good. So the only ones that I've kind of whittled it down to are the first few phases of the Marvel universe, like
yeah,
leading up to Infinity War.
yeah,
All of those movies had a high caliber of quality to them. And the other one is the Harry Potter series.
yeah.
Um, Again, all of them have had a high quality caliber to them, and I can't point to any one of those movies and say
Right.
that movie sucked. Mission Impossible has done something these past 30 years and 8 movies is they've gotten better,
Yes.
they've gotten bigger. Tom Cruise, continues to wow. I love actually how they interwove the entire franchise,
Yeah.
starting with the first one.
Yeah.
Shea Winning's character, it blew me
Yeah,
away. Okay.
that was a big
And
reveal.
it was huge that we find out that Shea, what was his, I'm trying to find his,
It was like Frank's, I
what was,
think was his alias name.
yes, Briggs,
Briggs.
and he was in Dead Reckoning, and then it's revealed that he's the son of Phelps, who's played by John Voight. And I kind of went like, wow. But they also made that reference with Dunlow
Yeah.
from the first movie, right? And I just found it turned everything around in a way that you think that many of these are just singular one-off, like we're just watching a thing. But the way that they tied it in for me was very organic and seamless. And they made you think that this was the plan all along when it couldn't have been, but I believed it. I bought it and it made me
Oh,
appreciate it more, right? But
yep.
you also say, and I agree with you 1,000%, if you're able, it's on Paramount Plus, I think maybe Amazon Prime, watch them in order
Yes.
and see the movie, or watch them after, which I'm sure many will, and you'll go, holy cow, how did they, from a writing standpoint, to me, that's amazing.
Yeah.
The other thing that's fantastic is Christopher McQuarrie, who won an Academy Award, I believe, for Usual Suspects,
Yes.
for screenplay.
Screenplay. Yep.
He and Tom Cruise love the movies. In fact, Tom Cruise is probably the celebrity who most champions the movie-going experience. I mean,
He
I
does.
could
Yeah.
marvel and look up to that guy and go, this is what's needed. But they love movies. And there's a lot of references within this movie, like the submarine sequence. To me, there were a couple of points that reminded me of The Abyss.
Oh
Like if
yeah.
James, right? I mean, The Abyss, like right out from,
100%.
and even his ascension in the water. Like I have to do like there's that the sub chase in The Abyss where Ed Harris and Mary Elizabeth
Yep.
Mastrantonio, they're trapped. They only have one thing, and it's like, okay, you have to die, but we're gonna resurrect you. That's basically the choice that Ethan Hunt has to make.
Yeah.
Like I trust in my team to get resurrected, but everything they threw at him, and then the last part of the movie, good God, I mean, I could think the Great Waldo Pepper. I know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
comes out of nowhere for many, but the Great Waldo Pepper is really a decent Robert Redford movie in which he plays a stunt pilot in the 40s or so when
Yeah.
biplanes were popular.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a lot of wing walking that goes on, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
Like he's like a bad barnacle or something. You just can't shake him, man. He
You
was just holding
can't.
on to everything. Man, man, man.
Oh, and it was the way it was, God, you just watch it on the edge of your seat, and it's
Yep.
fantastic.
Yep.
Um, I remember when
And but then
we
there was also this one was I felt a little more edited a lot interestingly, and I thought a little more
Mhm,
editing involved than other films have
mhm.
been. So, you've got these people over here doing something, you've got these people over here, and they were cutting between them. Very nicely done, though. Very well done.
I
So you
I
got the
couldn't
plane
agree
stuff, and
more.
he's got to get the poison pill into the thing so they can capture the entity, and she's got to, Grace has got to catch it just at the right moment, and so you're just, and poor Benji's been shot, and he's got like one of the trachea things because so he can breathe, and you're like, ah! And then you got the people trying to defuse a bomb. I mean, it was just like
It
my brain, my
it
brain.
was crazy, and that's another aspect I really loved about this movie. It goes back to what I was saying. There are many moving parts to this movie that they had to piece together carefully so that you don't lose as a moviegoer. You don't lose your continuity with what's going on. And
Right,
they didn't, there weren't quick cuts. And this is the other thing that McQuarrie and I believe Cruz too, like they know we have to stay on a scene. We can't go boom, 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 boom. It's better paced when they stay longer. And then they'll cut to something else.
mm-hmm.
And it kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger for that. It's like when you're reading a really good suspense novel and each chapter leaves
Mm-hmm.
you on a bit of a cliffhanger, and then you read this chapter, and then you read the following chapter, which goes back. It's kind of seamed together like that, and it was great. And by the end of it all, look, you and I are in agreement. We believe that this is one of the best, if not the best, action franchises within, you know, our times, right? It was emotional. I was
Was.
emotional. I
Yeah.
was very emotional on many fronts. Um, and Tom Cruise gives his heart to all of this. And, McQuarrie and Cruise's love of cinema and doing it and bringing it for the movie-going audiences, I think it's unparalleled. I do not believe we're going to see a better action movie this summer, let alone this year. Uh, and they went for it. And you could argue, oh, maybe it did this. And people have complained about the runtime. And somebody actually said, oh, it took so much time to like interweave anything that we never asked for. And no, I never
Mm.
asked for it. But God, I'm so glad that they gave it to me because I
Yeah.
found it to be beautiful. I appreciated the runtime. I was never bored at
I was never
all.
bored either. I did a couple of times wonder what was, where we were at as far as, but
Yes.
I mean, it was so minor. I was still in it because, we knew what was going to, we knew what was going to happen. So it's like,
Right.
but after that,
And
I was so spent after the submarine, and
Oof,
I was
it's
like,
exhausting.
oh my God, what am I still have the planes because I knew that was
I
coming.
know,
And I'm
I
like,
know, and the thing is like the same review I read that I just like kind of referenced to, the person was like, we didn't get to really know like this entity thing. I said, no, the entity thing was pretty much explained in Dead Reckoning.
oh
It
yeah.
was a United States program that they let loose. Like that Russian sub was testing it, but the United States wanted to see what happened, and then that genie got let out of the bottle. It
Well,
became
then
so
then
big.
they talk about
And
in this one they talk about how Rabbitfoot was part of creating the
correct.
entity. So yeah, no, they fully explain it.
100%. So they very much explain it. And yes, you want to talk about Gabriel. Look, he's just a bad man,
Yeah.
right? I don't care. I don't want his origin stories. He
Oh, were
and
people
Ethan
complaining
Hunt even
about
said,
that?
yeah, like, oh, we never find out about Gabriel. Like, who cares? Ethan
Yeah.
Hunt summed it up best. He goes, you could say that he made me the person that I am today. Because another vital point that we learned about team members within the Mission Impossible Forces, or IMF, the Impossible Mission Forces, is these were people who had made some bad life decisions, but they had talents, and that they found them and says, we're going to give you a choice. This was brought up a lot,
Right.
and
A
your
lot.
choice is
Right.
you either go to jail for life or you can put your talents to use, but you have to be loyal to us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That happened a lot in Dead Reckoning. And
And this one
uh
too.
yeah, and this one too. And
Well, when
listen,
when Ethan's talking to Phelps' son, he's like, "This is what happened," and oh, you want me
right.
to believe the da, 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 da. And you're like, well, yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have to say too, I thought she was a magnificent um, addition to the team. Yes, Haley Atwell is Grace is fantastic,
Yeah.
wonderful, right? Palm Clementif is
Yes.
as Paris, I
Yeah.
think was is equally as good. And there's one thing that I think about Ethan Hunt too. His superpower isn't the fact that he can jump from a plane and do this and that. His superpower is his moral compass
Yes.
and his loyalty. That's his superpower. His
To
if
his
there is
detriment and many times, but yes.
many times, yeah, and it's often used
And
against
they
him, but
they
he has,
talk about a lot. Yeah.
and I just love that of a man whose moral compass is like it's the definition of true north for me.
Yeah.
And he's just a great character in his loyalty to his team. And albeit, you know, he sometimes can't protect them all as hard
Yeah.
as he
I
tries.
mean, I did
And
I
that
did
makes it better.
miss Rebecca Ferguson. I did.
I'm not gonna lie. So did I. Simon Pegg actually had
Yeah.
said this about the filming of this movie, that they had become good friends and he really missed her. But it's when you talk about the entire franchise, it's very interesting what they've done because there are many team members who are as part of the team for one movie,
Hmm.
maybe a couple of movies, and then they inexplicably or tragically and sadly,
Yeah.
they meet a tragic death. But they're not in the next movie or movies, and they don't talk about them. And I think that that's a very smart thing to do, and that's why I think it's very important about the mission trinity that we have. Because when
Hmm.
you look at Benji and Luther, their hunts, their hunts like inner voice in a sense.
Yes.
Like Ethan, we can do this, and I think Ethan loves them for not only their capability and prowess, but for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I walked out of that movie. I felt satisfied, number one,
Me too.
and I was exhilarated.
Me too.
It made
I
me.
can't quit humming this song.
Yeah. The soundtrack, by the way, is
I
out
don't know
today.
what it is, but I know it was from the show, the
Mhm.
TV show. And actually, it's interesting. I went to the Paley Center in New York City not too long ago, and they have a whole research area where you can watch old TV shows, basically. So you can find pretty much anything. and
Mhm.
watch it. So I decided, because I was already in the mode, right? Because I just finished all the movies. I'm
Yeah.
gonna watch one of these episodes. I mean, it's a little dated and it's very serious, but that whole when they show very quick cuts to what's going to happen in the movie with the theme song, I love that. I don't know what it is, but I love it. I
It's
love
so
it.
exciting. It's very like yeah, it's great and it's a
And
part
whoever
it's a kind
puts
of
that
television.
together, is that's a hard thing to do. They do a nice job. But each movie, it's always like, oh my
Yeah,
God. So
it's the kind of television that honestly doesn't exist. They won't put in the man time and such. And Lalo Schifrin's score for Mission Impossible the
yeah.
series, which translates into the big motion
But I'm
picture.
saying not only with the show, I
Amazing.
also loved it in the movies. I mean, I love that
Yeah.
they kept
Oh
that,
yeah.
So
hmm I will say there was one thing that I kind of appreciated, since we're speaking of score, is in the biplane sequence, right? They didn't amp it up that, with the music so
right.
much. They let the scenes play out
Yeah.
and play out breathtakingly on their own. And
Yeah.
it didn't, like somebody had said, and I get it because there's one part of that biplane sequence where like when Ethan gets onto Gabriel's plane and you almost expect it like going dun, 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 like here it comes. Nothing. It's like, nope, we gotta let this play out.
And
We're
by
gonna
the
let
way,
the
Christopher Nolan, if you're listening to this, and I'm sure you are,
yeah, he does. Yeah, yeah, he comments.
take note, Christopher Nolan. I'm sorry. He overplays his scores over stuff that it drives me crazy. It drives me
hmm
crazy. So yes, you
I
don't
know
need a
you,
big
but
heavy score over this action sequence. You just don't.
yeah, you let it play out. I think it was very expertly done,
Yeah.
edited. Look,
Yeah, it
I
was
don't know
one of the
what
better
gonna.
edited films. I'm wondering if it'll actually get nominated for that, but probably not. It should,
Uh,
though. It
I
should.
don't
I thought
disagree,
some of
and
that editing was pretty damn impressive.
I think the stunt category
Yeah,
is
well,
going to
yeah.
show up too late. Um, listen, if this is the last one, and I don't know how much longer Tom Cruise can take this. Like he's 62. Look, he
Well,
is
he said
probably
he'll keep going until he's 100, is what he said. But you
100,
know
but
what? It might be time for him to, because it kind of sets up that Benji will now be sort of the leader of the
maybe.
IMF. So if they bring in,
I mean, they could
if
bring
they bring in
Jeremy
someone
Renner
younger,
back if they wanted, but I guess what I'm saying is like even his
no,
he could keep making movies till 100, but how much can the body take?
yeah,
From what I understand, that biplane sequence, I don't know how much more stamina he has. More than most mortal men, for sure, 100%. But I think look, if this is it, I have to say, well, thank you, Paramount Pictures, right?
yes,
Big thank you,
yes,
Paramount Pictures, for releasing it. Thank you, Brian De Palma,
yeah,
because you
right.
brought together,
You brought it to the first
you
four.
started
Yeah,
all, and we didn't know if there'd be another one. And I have to say, thank you, John Woo. Look, Mission Impossible 2 is a sign of the times, and it was Tom Cruise because John Woo is probably at the height of his career, and
right.
Tom Cruise
But
wanted
he's
to
a
work with.
great director.
So, and then J.J. Abrams comes in. Thank you, J.J. And then
Yeah,
Abrams and Bad Robot produced. And then you had Brad Bird. People forget, like
right.
Brad Bird did a fantastic, fantastic job.
Yeah, they
And
all,
then it was, and
and
then it was
then
after Brad Bird that
yeah,
McQuarrie came in, and so you have to thank McQuarrie and the team. But again, our heartfelt thanks to Tom Cruise. Not that he'll see this, but heartfelt thanks for him because you know Tom Cruise, your love of cinema goes even above and beyond my love of cinema. And Kit will tell you,
yeah,
like, because we got, and that is to be commended in this day and age. And
yeah.
he put himself out there in ways that no other actor today would or could or probably even should. I always fear when we saw Dead Reckoning together, I said, Jesus, he wants to die on camera. Like, how does he do this stuff? Like, what the hell else is he going to do? And then in the final reckoning, he does
Yeah.
it,
So
and
big
he's
five
just
stars for me.
huge
Yeah.
5 stars
High
for
five.
me.
High
I
five.
think
High
it's the
five.
high five. I think it's the best kickoff to this summer for an
Oh
action
yeah,
mega movie,
100%.
and the summer's
Yeah,
going to
so
have
you
to,
guys
to
let
me.
us know what you think, obviously.
Please do,
And then
please do.
also let us
Yeah.
know what your favorite one was. I still think
Hmm.
my favorite is Rogue Nation just because of Rebecca Ferguson's introduction, only because of that. But they're all these last two and then Rogue are like this. So
Rogue Nation, I loved. I think I liked Fallout 2 a
yeah.
lot. It was
Yeah.
almost in like tandem.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
certainly since Rogue Fallout and then these last two. But Rogue
yeah,
Nation, I think, still edges up just a little bit for me, only because I just loved that character so much. And she was, and then
same here.
also Vanessa Kirby's introduction as well. So, yeah, all of that really, that was my most favorite of all of them. But
Hmm.
they've all been so close together, though. It's like, and you know what?
It's tough.
Dead
Yeah.
when Final Reckoning comes out on Paramount Plus, which I'm sure it will, I might just go ahead and watch all of them again. I don't know. Maybe just
I'm
the
by
last.
I already pre-ordered the Blu-ray because I want the behind the scenes on this. I
Yes.
want because those are actually they still kind of adhered to the old school, like they're not just like the 5 minute thing. They're like a good healthy making of, and
Yeah.
I want all those things, and so kudos.
Yeah.
Great way to kick off the summer. It's for
Yay.
me, it's a great way to kick it off talking about these summer movies
Well,
with
I
you.
think summer got kicked off with Thunderbolts. You don't agree, but that's
Oh,
okay. This
hell
is
no. You
definitely more
can't
of a
even
fictional.
this no, no way. Not even close.
All
Don't
right. Okay.
conversation. You took greatness and look, no. But
Okay.
we have a summer of movies to look forward to, and
We
I hope that
do.
at least many of them we get to see together because I was thinking about you
I'll
when watching
try.
this movie, and I think my arm would have been in shreds.
Well, you should have seen me in my seat. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God. When the torpedoes are floating around, I'm like, oh my God. It's like people sitting next to me are like,
I,
really?
I did
But
miss
I was
watching
in
this
it.
movie
I was in
together
it.
with
I was in it.
you. So I hope that we have a good handful of movies that we can watch, summer movies that we
Hopefully
can watch
too.
together.
Hopefully
Yeah.
too. All right.
So
Well, thanks
thank you.
everyone for tuning in. It's great summer. We're looking forward to all the movies coming up. So stay tuned for more KDM.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you, Kit. Bye.